Hi everyone, we're here today to talk about a sequel to our two-couple calling process, the method that we're starting to use as we learn to call. And those of you who saw the two-couple video, calling for two couples, a lot of important information there, and I recommend that you visit that video before you get too engaged in this particular one. What we're really striving to do here is to develop your skills overall as a caller, and we're trying to mitigate a lot of the frustration that newer callers feel when they start calling to a full square and they have all these dances moving around and they're wondering if they're ever going to be able to get them back again, back home and resolve correctly. And this particular method that we're putting into place here, that we're trying to espouse, is that you start calling with two couples and then you graduate to a full square. So this particular video is assuming now that you've had the opportunity to start calling to two couples, and you're doing fairly well at that and you're fairly confident. And now we're going to transfer the knowledge that you've gained calling for two couples over to a full square. So here we are with a slide set that I'm going to present some ideas to you concerning transferring the information that you've learned about calling for two couples and bringing that information over to a full square. So the very first thing, we want to be sure that you're comfortable with calling for two couples. Now, you are ready if you can call smoothly for two couples. You can be extemporaneous, or you can call memorized modules, but you need to be able to know where those dances are, and you need to be able to place them where you want. Now, that's critical. The skill of being able to place dances precisely where you want is going to benefit you. You're going to find it extremely rewarding, especially when it comes time for you to begin to develop and set up get-outs that you've got memorized. Now you've created and you've memorized some easy, short modules, and again we stressed that the fewer calls in the modules, the better off you are because they're easy to remember. You must have developed the skill of being able to visualize these dances as they're moving through the calls that you're calling. You need to be able to see them in your mind's eye. And as bonus points to really check whether or not you're ready, you can turn your back on the two couples that you're calling for, and if you can call successfully by doing virtually nothing more than visualizing in your mind's eye, the movement of those dancers, then you are definitely ready to begin transferring this information to a full square. Now, this might be a familiar slide to you, but we're just going to remind you of some of the skills that you developed when you were working with two couples. So up there in the top left of your screen, you see the home position of the two couples, number one, couple number three. They're designated yellow and red. And from there, we want to put them into state number 5, which you see here with the number 1 man at home, and beside him is the number 3 lady. What call will get you there? We want you to put your answer, write it down on a notepad or whatever. We're going to check these answers and see how close you came to the same answers that I'm going to offer you, with the understanding, of course, that there's many ways to get the dancers there. There's not a right way. There's not a wrong way if the dancers arrive at the right location. There could be a way that is better than another way by using as few calls as possible. And so the second exercise would be to bring the number 1 couple from their home position to the opposite side of the square, which is state number 3. And then state number 4 is to bring the number 1 couple over to the number 4 quadrant of the square, of the full square. And we will see here that I'm offering you these suggestions. A reverse flutter wheel will resolve the issue, getting the dancers from home, state 1, to state 5. The right and left through is the easy solution, single call solution for getting them across the square. And lead left and wheel around. There's a bunch of ways you can get here, but basically that's a pretty easy way to do it. Lead left and wheel around flows very nicely and gets you the result that you expect. The remaining states that you'd be able to move the dancers to is state number 7. And this is by way of review now, because I believe that all of these exercises were included in the 2-couple video. So how do you get them to where they are in state number 7? How about state number 2, state number 8, and state number 6? Okay, you can pause the video at this point if you want, write down some answers. But for the sake of time, I'm going to suggest some offerings to you. And I would suggest flutter wheel for state number 7. And now this is not a short one. Swing through, centers run, bend the line. There are some shorter ones to get the dancers over to that the number 1 couple over the number 2 quadrant. But this is one that we use quite often. The swing through, centers, or boys run, bend the line, is one that it's a module that we're going to be using a lot. We see this module done and danced a lot. Now the number 8 state, quite simply, is a slide through. I'm wondering how many of you got that one. I hope all of you did. And then square through 2 to a partner trade will bring them into state number 6. Okay, so moving right along now, we want to transfer these skills now to a full square. And from a static squared set, if you call the size square through and all 4 hands, the result is a corner box. And the corner box graphically looks like this. I'm going to go there in a minute with terminations with you, and we'll be able to see this a lot better as dancers actually move. But your focus now, where's your focus going to be here? Your focus is going to be in your number 1 man. He is your focal man by definition, with the key dancers that we've pre-selected. And we're going to try to ascertain whether or not the dancers are back into this specific location after calling a few modules. We're going to use the methods that we used in 2 couples to do this, except in 2 couples we had numbered couple number 1 and couple number 3 was across, but now we don't have 3 across from us. We have number 2 man and number 4 lady. So the insides are unpaired, outsides are paired, all dancers facing corner. That is by definition a corner box. So now we want to be able to maneuver dancers and get them back into this same corner box. That's going to be our drills and our exercises from here. Later on, we're going to transfer this information to a partner line. Here's a partner line gotten by sides lead right and circle to a line, which is one way to do it. Or you could have had the heads lead right and circle 3/4 to a line to get precisely into this location. We're isolating 4 of the dancers anytime that we're doing these exercises. And the 4 dancers, when we're in lines, are going to be the number 1 man, whatever lady he's with, and the dancers across from him. And but we'll see as we get more advanced down into this exercise and these drills that it is equally justifiable and reliable for the caller to view all the dancers in the line, for instance, these 4 dancers. The secret here is that you only need to watch 4 dancers in order to resolve any situation at any time from any setup with these dancers. Okay, and so right here, all you need is a great get out, right? You should know what your get out's going to be for a partner line. Classically, if it's an in-sequence partner line, all the dancers are here in sequence. The get out would be slide through, square through 3, Allemande left, and then either promenade or right and left grand and promenade home. If the dancers are out of sequence, after, for instance, if they did a right and left through and we see the number 1 man standing over where the number 2 couple is standing with his partner, and the number 4 couple standing where number 3 couple is standing, the dancers are then out of sequence. And we determine that by taking a look at our focal dancer and seeing what man is to his left. If it's not the number 4 man, the dancers are out of sequence, at least the men are. And so if the dancers are out of sequence, then your get out is going to be star through, pass through, Allemande left. Okay. Now we've got some exercises for you to do because we know how much fun you like doing these exercises. And once again, remember, we expect you to write down a module. So if you need to pause the video, go ahead and do it. But I'm going to move right along for you. Also, we're going to use the technical equivalent setup of that corner box. So instead of having the side square through 4, we're going to do an exercise with a head square through 4. And if you look way up there to the left, you'll see that your corner box will be established this way, where the side couple, number 4, couple is on the outside of the 8 chain through setup, paired with his original partner, and the inside couple is heads. They're going to be head dancers, but they're unpaired. They are not beside original partners. They're in fact beside original opposites. And so, but in every case, every dancer is facing corner. So this is going to be a corner box exercise. So from this corner box, and I only put the 4 dancers down because I want to emphasize that you only need to watch 4 dancers. That's why it was so critical to begin your entire training using only 2 couples. If you can maneuver these 4 dancers around using the strategies that you developed in 2-couple training, then you're going to be in really good shape. And what we want to do here with this exercise is we want to go from the corner box, and I labeled the sides, if you will, A, B, C, and D, just to help figure out exactly where we want these dancers to end up. All right? So, for instance, in this first exercise, we're expecting the number 1 and the number 3 man and lady to end up over here on the B side. All right? So we need calls that are going to maneuver them into this particular position. You'll notice that in every case, we're starting from the corner box. All 3 samples start from the corner box, but they have a different ending location because the exercise we're doing here is to learn and train ourselves to develop quick and easy modules that move the dancers into these specific locations. We want to be able to control the movement of dancers in the corner box and see exactly how easy that is, how difficult it is. So let's see exactly what we've come up with here for suggested modules. If you do a swing through centers run, bend the line, yes, you will in fact move the dancers into this location. And remember, I said before that this is a highly used module, and this is the end result in a corner box if you did a swing through centers or boys run and bend the line. Very easy on the next one, right and left through. And I hope that when you were doing your 2-couple training, you understood that you want to find the simple way to do things, not the more convoluted ways. There's certainly dozens or maybe even hundreds of ways to get this couple out here using an unlimited number of calls. That's not the key. The key is how to get them there quickly, because what you're really doing is you're learning to position these dancers into a specific location so you can apply a known get out, a get out that works really, really well from when the dancers are located like this. Now, how about the last one? So the last one is interesting too. A left touch a quarter, walk and dodge, and a wheel around is a nice little module, flows very nicely. The wheel around sets the flow up for a flutter wheel if you want to do after that, followed by a sweep a quarter. Any kind of a flow works nicely after that. So the left touch a quarter, walk and dodge, and wheel around will get the dancers into what you see over here to the right, where the number 1 man and his opposite lady are actually on the left end now of a line of 4 in the full square. And the right end of the line is the one across from him is the number 4 couple, still paired with their partners. And they also would be the right end of a line of 4 in a full square implementation of this. And we're going to exercise and do that once we complete these exercises. Okay, so now there's only one other thing that we can do here, and that's to position the dancers and change their pairings in the process. So we see that over here, way up there on the left-hand side, with number 1 man is adjacently paired with a number 3 lady. We want to get him back over here to this number B, or this letter B quadrant, but not with the number 3 lady. We want him to have the number 4 lady. So what module will we use to achieve that end? And likewise, in the second example, we want that number 1 man on the outside of the 8 chain 3, chain 4 formation now, remember, because we're dealing with a full square. Even though diagrammatically here we're only showing 4 dancers, we still have a full square going on. And we never have to worry about the other half of the square because symmetry is dictating that whatever this half of the square does that we're looking at, the other half of the square has to do the identical thing, as long as we're using symmetric choreography. And we are, as a matter of fact. So here on the last exercise, we want that number one man paired with his corner on the left end of a line, and this would be the diagram and the goal that we want to do. You can pause here if you want, write down your modules. I'm going to move right along for the sake of trying to keep the length of the video down. And here's what we are suggesting that you might consider using for these modules. First of all, if they did a square through 2 followed by a partner trade, that would achieve putting the dancers in the location that you want in the first example. In the second example, if they did a step to a wave and recycle, they would end up where they are here. And in the third stage, again, I'm sorry, but simplicity rules, slide through. That'll get us where we want to be. Okay, so there's some fun exercises for you to do. I hope you got something out of that. And moving right along here, we've got a bunch of slides here that talks about common dancers and so on and so forth. I'm going to pause the slide set at this point. Yeah, we want to call up terminations, and there it is. Now I've set terminations up in such a way now, as you see here, that I have the abbreviations highlighted in the right hand side. I do that by clicking that abbreviations button. And if you click the settings button, the right hand panel changes and allows you to set up the dancers about any which way you want. So I'm going to assume that you're a little bit familiar with this. I'm going to go back to the abbreviations side here. And at this point, I'm going to call all my dancers into a corner box. So I'll use this. Let me take a shortcut, okay? Heads pair off. I know you're all saying heads square through 4. And I've got the dancers moving slowly because I want to be able to demonstrate to you the movement of these dancers as we're going along. Now here you had this exercise. In exercise number 1, we wanted to move the dancers such that number 1 man would be out here in the B quadrant of this these 4 dancers and paired with his opposite lady. And we said, I believe the sequence that we were going to use was swing through. Yeah, then I think it was centers run. Once they get done their swing through, centers or boys run right about now, and then a bend the line. And you notice I'm using the abbreviations to accomplish this in terminations. And there you see how the entire square has moved, even though we were simply focusing on the 4 dancers over here that included our number 1 focal man. And we're using the techniques of all of the 2-couple training that we learned to get the result that we wanted. At this point, we have the dancers set up this way so that we could do some sort of a get out routine, or one that's managed. I'm not going to do that. Let's see if I can undo anything here. And so I'm back in my corner box. The other exercise was to get this number 1 man, as opposite lady, to the outside of the 8 chain through. And we said a single call would do that, and it's right and left through. And it looked like this. Notice that the entire square is moving. And notice that this other half of the square that we weren't concerned with is doing exactly what this side of the square is doing. And that's the effect of symmetry. Okay, so we'll undo that and go back where we were. And we said the last thing we want to do was to get this number 1 couple with his opposite man over here into this quadrant. So the way we're going to accomplish that, I believe we said was a left touch a quarter. Hang on a minute. Let me get my thing going here. Left touch a quarter. And it was walk and dodge. And you'll notice a nice flow on this wheel around. And as I said before, you could follow that up with a flutter wheel flutter wheel slide through. That's what we wanted to do. So just for kicks, we have to go back to that corner box anyway. Here comes your flutter wheel, and that's going to be followed with a slide through, and you'll see that you're back in your corner box, where you can do an Allemande left or whatever other resolution you wanted to do. So the point is that we're doing these drills to try to get our two-couple training and using it, applying it in the full square for doing nothing but maneuvering these four dancers around each other. What we want to do, of course, now is, I believe this next exercise was to get the number 1 man out here in the B side with the number 4 lady. And I believe that the sequence we used was square through 2, which that's the abbreviation for it right there. And then a partner trade. And there they are. So now the number 1 man is in fact over here in that B quadrant of this two couples, and he's paired with his number 4 lady. The get out from here would be a slide through. I'll just throw that in there instead of reversing everything. Well, no, don't do that. I gotta undo it anyway. Otherwise we get some complications in here. So we're back to the corner box. And the next thing was to get the number 1 man on the outside of the 8 chain through, paired with his corner lady. And I believe that we said the combination was step 2 of wave and recycle. And we see that does get us exactly where we want to do. So there you have it. I mean, all we're really doing is applying what we learned in two couples to this half of the square where our focal man is, and the side couple that he's dealing with, and we're able to accomplish quite a bit with moving the whole square around. I think there was one more, and that was to get the number 1 man, our focal man, on the left end of the line, paired with his corner, and that shouldn't surprise anybody. Slide through is going to do that for you, and you can see the action happening right here. So this sets up your corner line. You had a CB corner box, and now you have a CL corner line. The notations are not critical, but you should learn these notations as you go along. This is a corner line. If we add a right and left through, then the corner line kind of remains a corner line, but the sequence state has changed. Everybody's out of sequence, so we call that a CLO. A CLO, corner line out. Okay, if we did a slide through one more time from here, whoops, I left out something. Let me get that, there we go. And that will take us back to the corner box, and so notationally that's a CB. If we do another right and left through from here, we're still going to have that 8 chain through box, but the sequence state has changed to out, so this would be noted as a CBO, a CBO. Okay, there you have it. Let me undo a bunch of this, and I'll just do a quick reset, and we'll say heads pair off. Again, to go back to our corner box. Now what's interesting here is if we, I tell you what, if we get bold enough, we can add in our chicken plucker routine. And part of that chicken plucker routine is the drill of bringing the dancers across the street. So our chicken plucker routine is going to take our number 1 focal man and his opposite lady, who is now playing with, if you will, the number 4 side couple, and we're going to bring these two dancers, number 1 and number 3, across the street to the other side of the square, where they can then play with the number 2 couple. And so the classic chicken plucker routine would start, for instance, from here, a right and left through, and that would be followed by a pass through. I'll wait till the dancers finish. A trade by, and there they are. They're halfway through the full chicken plucker. This is half of a chicken plucker, and the dancers have moved across the street. Now we can apply our two couple training once again, once we're over here, to these two couples with the idea that we want to bring them eventually back to the same spot so that we can do the other half of the chicken plucker, and that will bring them right back to that corner box and a point where we can then resolve. So, okay, let's just bring, I'll tell you what, let's bring this number 1, number 3 man over here to the D side of this. So we said the side A, B, C, D, just a kind of visual framework in our mind. I want this couple right here to be facing out over here. And so I'm going to say touch a quarter, walk and dodge, and there they are, they're facing out. Okay, good. I accomplished my goal. Now I want to keep them together with these 4 dancers because that's who I'm playing with. So let me try a partner trade just to get them facing back in. Beautiful. Now remember, this number 1 man is 3 opposite lady. They have to be the inside of an 8 chain through to bring these dancers back where they were. All right, so I'm going to say, okay, past the ocean. And my mind's eye, as well as my physical eye, is watching this number 1 man, the focal man, and that number 3 lady. I've got them sort of paired at this point, and I know that the call recycle will keep them paired. And then they're going to be facing these same 2 dancers. Okay. Now, they're at a point where if I was back into the chicken plucker, I would do right and left through, pass through, trade by again. They've already done the right and left through. But that's not good enough for me. I'm going to have to figure out some other way, some other method to do this. So I'm going to use slide through. And then I'll say star through. And that puts my focal man back on the inside. And again, all I'm doing is I'm dancing these 4 dances around each other, working with the 2 couple training that I spent a lot of time developing. And now I'll do the other half of the chicken plucker. And if you remember what the chicken plucker routine is, you can see it up there in the top left-hand side of the screen. Half of the chicken plucker was a right and left through, pass through, trade by. I said we're halfway there, so let's repeat that, and that will complete the chicken plucker. So we do a right and left through. Whoops, wrong keys. Right and left through. And I'm watching my focal man and his opposite lady. They're still adjacent to each other, which is a wonderful thing at this point. I want to pass through. And I want to trade by. And then bingo, there they are. They have arrived back at the corner box. And we can continue to call from here, or we can resolve with an Alaman left, right and left grand, come back and promenade. Okay, so that's the whole idea behind chicken plucker, taking them across the street. The other important module that you're going to have to own is going to force you to refocus a little bit. And I want to show you how to do that. First of all, what we're talking about here for a module is going to be the infamous invert and rotate. I'm going to undo a bunch of calls here. See if I can get back to that corner box. There we are. So my invert and rotate module, quite frankly, is going to take the dancers from this corner box to the technically equivalent corner box. And for your information, and if you don't already know, every single setup has a technically equivalent setup that differs only in the roles that the heads and the sides play. So if you take a look at the roles and the positions of the heads and sides in this corner box, we see that position-wise, the sides are paired with the original partner on the outside of an 8 chain through. The heads are paired with the original opposite lady on the inside of an 8 chain through. But in every case, every corner is facing each other, man and lady. Every corner is facing each other. That's what makes this a corner box. So if I were to change nothing but the roles and the positions of the heads and sides, I would expect to go to a place where the heads were paired on the outside, where the sides are now. That would certainly change their position. And also, it would change their roles because they would no longer be paired with their opposite lady. They would be paired with their original partner. So if I want the heads to be paired on the outside, the heads have to be paired with the original partner. That changes the roles and the positions all at once. Likewise, the sides, we want them to be on the inside of the 8 chain through, and they have to be, their role-wise, they have to be with their opposite ladies and not their partners. So to get them there, we have this module which we call the invert and rotate. And I like to use a combination of star through, pass through, bend the line, and then I like to use slide through. Some colors differ on this. They want to repeat the star through again. I like slide through, and I'll tell you why. Because slide through provides handedness to the dancers. Slide through requires no hands to be used, which means any hand is available for the next call. And the handedness rules are not violated so much as they are intrinsically by the call star through. If you are a purist with the handedness rule, there is no call you can do after star through that doesn't violate the rule. None, zero, except maybe slide through. You'd have to use a no hands call after a star through every time, and that's ridiculous. The better way to handle it is call the slide through here, and then any hand is available to use for the next call. Now you can clearly see that the dancers are in a corner box setup, and I'll make it clear to you because the definition of a corner box is outside couple paired, inside couple unpaired, all dancers facing corner. That is the articulated definition of a corner box. And we can see we do have the outside couples paired now, but they're not the side couples. They're the head couples. Aha. So both the positions and the roles of the head dancers have changed. Likewise with the side dancers. Side dancers are now inside the 8 chain through, and they're paired with opposite lady adjacently. So their roles and positions have also changed. In other words, this is a big zero. The dancers have gone from one corner box to the other iteration of the corner box, the technically equivalent corner box, which means if I could have called an Allemande left when they were started, over here when they started, then I can call an Allemande left right here, and it'll work. And just to show you that, here we go. Allemande left, and I'll just say promenade home. Ta-da! All right, listen, if you stayed with me this long, I have to tell you, you are truly amazing, and I appreciate it very much. The fact of the matter is that these are the things that we have to develop as callers. Callers become very nervous when they try to call for all 4 dancers. We're trying to make it easy by giving you a logical and methodical approach. And that approach includes learning to call for the 2 couples and then taking everything that you've learned there and bring it over to the full square. Okay, so that's the whole process. We want you to take your time, be methodical, study hard. We all have. And do it the easy way. Don't make it such a project that you become frustrated. Take baby steps. Do it one little step at a time. Learn to call the 2 couples, transfer that information over to a full square, and then be really, really cautious about calls that change partner pairings, because that is the next step. I'll probably make that my next video for you, because that's where callers really get hung up. They do a call, they don't realize that they've swapped partners and the partner pairings have changed, and bam, uh-oh, what do I do now? And that's when that horrible feeling comes across. You break out in a cold sweat and you wonder what you're going to do, how you're going to get them resolved. All right, kids, it's been great. I hope you enjoyed being with us here for this explanation. I hope that you got something out of it. And basically, that's about it. That's all we got this time around. And I look forward to visiting with you again. And we'll talk about more caller stuff.